Folks, if you play fingerstyle guitar and you're having a hard time taking these patterns that you've learned to become the music that you play, really, I think that is the point in the end. Whether that be by putting these patterns on the songs you already know or just by trying to play patterns more freely, there's a high probability you're focusing on the wrong patterns altogether. You could be creating something in your brain. You ready for this? It's called pattern perplexity. That sounds bad, but it's fine because it's not real. I just made it up. But it might as well be real because we've all kind of dealt with it, right? Today I want to open up the conversation to talk about fingerstyle patterns, which ones matter, and which ones are literally wasting you years of progress. All right, so first to set this up, fingerstyle patterns, what are they and are they worth learning? So patterns essentially teach you the basic mechanics of whatever technique you're learning, right? For fingerstyle guitar, it's playing with your fingers, right? Sometimes it's like for a specific song or a person, and I think more importantly, like any given style that you're interested in learning. Most acoustic players are familiar with Travis picking. This has a huge emphasis on the moving thumb with your fingers playing with or against that moving thumb. It's commonly taught as something like this. Right, and there's a funny little saying that goes with it. You have pinch, inside, outside, thumb. So you have that first pinch on the outside strings, migrate to the inside, thumb, finger. The outside is the same thing, but now it's on the outside. And then thumb to close off the pattern. Classical players focus on an entirely different kind of patterning called PIMA. Now it's an acronym, so P is for thumb. I don't know why. I is for index, that makes sense. M is for middle. And then A, that's for ring. I don't know why. I'm sure somebody can tell me, but that's what it's called. Now, here's like more variations than anybody would ever need to see, right? So that's kind of how they think about their patterning and the different variations of PIMA. So if you played PIMA, you'd have thumb, index, middle, ring. You could also go thumb, index, ring, middle. I never play with my ring finger or my A finger. The problem with these patterns, as I see it, is there really isn't enough emphasis on what you're actually doing, right? You're just kind of replicating a pattern. And you're not really internalizing the roles of the thumb and the finger. And worse yet, sometimes the pattern actually isn't even that accurate, right? In the case of Travis picking, it's pretty different than what Merle Travis was actually doing. And you wouldn't know that if you just had trust in the pattern, pinch, inside, outside, thumb. Which is why I really promote my own students to, instead of thinking in patterns, listening for patterns with an active and imaginative ear. Now, what is an imaginative ear, you may ask? Let's break it down. Let's talk about what patterns matter. Here's a quick story I want you to think about. When I was in high school, I was taken to my first ever orchestra concert. I haven't been to too many since, I'll be honest, but it was a very transformative experience, and here's why. Our teacher gave us this challenge. Can you listen to the orchestra not as one whole sound, but can you turn up different sections in your mind, even just one individual instrument? So listen to just the cellos. Can you turn up the cello in your mind while everything else fades behind? Now, listen to the violins. Turn up the violins. Can everything else fade behind? It was amazing how easy it was, how well it worked, and how much I use that in my own playing today. Now, how does this relate to fingerstyle guitar? When you're playing fingerstyle guitar, there's two basic patterns you have to be aware of. The first is the pattern you're actually playing on guitar. For most of us, that's some kind of moving thumb. Right now I'm doing the 6th string and the 4th string. And then pinching with or against the thumb. And you can create a million variations using those two rules. When you're listening to fingerstyle guitar, can you even separate the thumb from the fingers? Have you ever even tried this, right? After this video, go listen to your favorite player, see if you can turn up the thumb in your mind, that's the bass line, and then see if you can turn up the melody, that's the fingers, right? That's what I mean by listening with an imaginative ear, and that's how I transcribe everything I do. By the way, I should mention that all the little tab examples you see here on the screen, they're available for download for free members over on the Patreon, if you want to keep at this later. The other pattern is the actual patterning of the song, not the guitar part, but the thing that part supports, the form, the structure. Is it AABA, ABA, 8-bar, 32-bar? Check that stuff out when you're listening to songs on your own. It will help you listen to music more actively. But there's something more to talk about here, and when I came to terms with this for myself, it really opened up the way I heard and experienced music a lot more freely, right? Because you're gonna think you have a handle on a certain song, and out of nowhere, someone's gonna come and smack you in the face, and it happens to me all the time, and it's gonna happen to you because patterns are not fixed. So this is called a pattern disruptor. Now, a pattern disruptor is commonly explained as something that deviates from predictable behavior, but this happens all the time in music too. Certain chords surprise you, right? Did they add a beat or dropped a beat? If you ever found yourself just like laughing when you're listening to music, this is probably because of some kind of pattern disruptor. Now, if you've been a regular viewer of this channel, you know that to me context is everything, right? And I try to explain things through, you know, the kind of the greater picture, right? So let's look at a Blind Boy Fuller tune from the 1930s and kind of show you what a pattern disruptor can look like. So this is a regular 12-bar blues in the key of A. Well, it's supposed to be Capo 3, so it sound like the key of C, but he's playing out of A, so I don't have Capo, so we'll just do it without. But now, if you've been listening to the blues for a long time, the next chord would be a 4 chord, would be a D chord. But he doesn't play for any reason other than he just didn't feel like it, right? He played a D minor. So let me just show you the difference, right? Here is kind of the expected norm. And then here's what he played. Same thing, we're supposed to go to a major 4 chord. He goes minor. This is just one of so many examples of this concept, but what are some ways you can actually set yourself up for success so you can ensure that you're actually internalizing the music you hear, not just replicating the patterns that you play? Let's talk about something I call pattern anatomy. Let's start with the heart. What is the heart of the song, right? That's the lyrics, the melody, to a lesser extent the chords, because those can always be kind of reharmonized and you can't copyright a chord progression. But I do feel like in the case of Weeping Willow, that special chord, it kind of is the heart of the song, right? It can be different for different songs, it can be different for different styles, but just kind of think about that. Like, what is the thing that's just like, without it, it wouldn't be the song. That's the heart of the song. And then there's the body. What is the body of the song, the form, the structure? For Weeping Willow, it's a 12-bar blues, right? There's nothing more to it than that. The body is very, very basic. Some bodies are very different, right? All bodies are beautiful bodies. The other thing is the head. Now, this is where it gets a little more technical, right? What are the skills you need to do this? Weeping Willow, it's fingerstyle, right? There's all sorts of crazy licks though So what are the skills you need? And lastly, the soul. The invisible, unexplainable things that are easy to notice but almost impossible to learn. And the more you try to explain it, the harder it is to put your finger on. Things that make Blind Boy Fuller, right? And if you want to learn how to play like him, it's things you can only pick up through years and years and years spent with the recordings. Of course, Oscar Wilde said, you know, be yourself because everyone else is taken, but we're all reflections of our interests, right? You can't pick your family, but you can pick your heroes. And I gotta say, one of the coolest things I've learned from spending so much time with Blind Boy Fuller's recordings is how much he knew about chords. Basic chords, simple chords, and how to use them and reuse them up the neck. So you can check out that video here. You can also download Weeping Willow, that's already up on the Patreon now with a slow play along. And yeah, I gotta go. So we will see you where we see you.